Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Brian Gilmore, who is here on behalf of the United Board. Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great, great. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us. I know there's a couple of things that you guys would like to update us on regarding architectural controls and standards. So feel free to start.
Well, thank you. We've had our first meeting of the year, and therefore we don't have a lot of things to report. But what we did do was start to lay out our goals. So that's what I wanted to review here. And we actually have the goals shown on slide 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to map the permitting process, identify common mistakes. Let me make sure I got the right goal. Okay, yep. The first goal is to define and communicate permitting process for residents. And it's to map the process, identify common mistakes, identify common roadblocks, identify how permitting process is disseminated. In other words, how do we tell people about that? And what we'd like to be able to do is get this done in by mid-year. We have a stretch goal on that to develop a permit website application concept. And this is kind of new, but we're in the 21st century, so let's try it, right?
No, I think that's a great idea. In fact, it would seem that many of our departments like Recreation went to it's an online app where you can make reservations, and it's all over the place. So I think that's a really good idea. Could you tell me a little bit about the mapping of the process? Are you finding that things are getting lost along the way?
Well, it's more like people don't understand how they fit into the process. And so if we're going to explain to them where they fit in, what they have to do when we have to lay out the steps of the process.
Okay. All right. Great. And then, when you try to do an application, do you have somebody internal that can do it, or is that somewhere you'd have to search for a third party?
Yeah, I think that's a TBD.
Okay.
And of course, if we're going to try and get to a website application, that would start with mapping the process anyhow. So this mapping the process is really key. I think most people who've been in business will understand that you have to map your business processes to understand what's going on.
Well, exactly. And then also set the standards for the next person that's coming in so they don't go, oh my gosh, what do I do? So that's a great idea. So driving toward a standard plan, what does that mean?
Well, these are standard alteration plans, and we're kind of hedging our bet, if you will, here. We might call them standard architectural plans, but we don't want to let people believe that these are going to be architect plans. And so we're trying to define what could be done here. And there's some older standard plans out there, but they need to be updated and reevaluated. I think that they have to be rationalized, might be another word to look at it. So we're trying to define what a standard plan would be. And if someone wants to enclose their atrium, for example, what would that be? What would it look like? And some of the issues you get into here are identifying the roadblocks and limitations. And so as you begin to define the standard plan, how far towards an architectural plan and a structural kind of plan do you go without infringing upon particular intellectual property rights that might be out there? And in legal requirements too. So we have to pick through that one, and that's a very challenging goal, and that's why we have it out there in third quarter, but it might be even fourth quarter for that one. But let's be a little bit aggressive, and then we'll have something.
Okay. All right. And then, gosh, it feels like we've been talking about asbestos for so long now. You'd think it would all be gone by now, but it still isn't, is it?
No, it's in our buildings. And what we're trying to do is develop a rationale for asbestos-related costs during alterations.
Okay.
That's kind of a mouthful, but there's a lot of uncertainty about asbestos out there. People hear from different contractors, and what we're trying to do is really figure out what can and cannot be done about asbestos. And of course, this is one of those situations I think if you have 5 people in the room, you're going to get 10 inputs.
Right.
So we want to be able to consult an expert from outside who can help guide some of that conversation and show us really to what a rational approach would be. Maybe that's the title of this one, rational approach for asbestos related costs during alterations.
Okay.
And if we can draw the line somewhere, where do we draw it?
Right.
Along with that is we want to determine liabilities. And then we do want to revisit the communication plan for dissemination. And there was a good effort last year where we have some write-ups on that, and they were made available to the members. But we want to make sure that people know where to find those and make sure that they're readily available.
Okay, that's great, because I'm imagining that every time that you do an alteration and it is somewhere where there is asbestos, does that just sort of kick it all up again in concerns? Is that right?
Well, roughly, yes. There are different views on this. So if you take the kind of the extreme view, you have difficulty taking down kitchen cabinets, for example.
Right.
But if you take a more liberal view, that would be in the possibility that you can do that. So we're trying to come to a consensus on really what can be done and what cannot be done. And, you know, some of this starts with, if you're doing a major alteration, you likely need to get an asbestos test and find out how much asbestos is in the walls before demolition is started.
Right. Okay. Well, good to know. Good to know. So contractor clearinghouse, what does that mean?
Well, this is really more of a exploratory goal. But, you know, there's been comments made that there's really good contractors, and then there's sometimes contractors who don't fulfill their contract, or people have trouble working with them, or other things. So I would envision this to kind of like be a home advisor, you know, the website Home Advisor kind of setup. But we have to come to a consensus on what this would be, investigate the need. Should we even be talking about who is a preferred contractor or not preferred? There's legal implications there. And we don't want to get in the way of anything like that. And of course, don't want to prohibit the free market. If someone has a good reputation, he should be able to come here and work and go forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But this has a lot of investigative work to be done, and a lot of issues to pick through again. And after we get that and decide whether we want to move ahead, if we do, then develop the concept for what it would be. Everyone has different concepts. Some people might think, oh, well, it's just a list. Other people might think it's a rating system. My concept would be like a Home Advisor or Emily's List or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that just basically is telling everyone that you've done the due diligence, you've researched the actual contractor, you've gotten great feedback, and then that's why you list them as such. So yeah, that would be nice to have. I mean, it seems like most people would enjoy something like that. But then again, as a committee, you guys have to be careful about the legalities of that. So
yes,
totally understandable. That's for sure.
Yeah, in fairness too, you know, there's always a difference between what's fair and maybe what's extremely legal. But we also want to be fair to not only our residents but also the contractors.
Okay. And then a synergy between maintenance and construction committee and landscape committee.
Yeah, so I think we have a unique opportunity united this year. I sit on all 3 of those committees, and I chair the architectural committee. And I see opportunities where we can make a balance between the decisions we made if we're communicating amongst each other. And you know, one example would be is how far do we go on tree maintenance versus gutter replacement and other things. That's one of the trade-offs we might want to be looking at. But that's more of a personal goal. And I think that we have an opportunity to kind of take a system level approach at that and reduce some of our cost, or contain our cost, I should say, and at the same or better service levels.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's always nice to be able to get the committees together to sort of work together. Obviously, we have a common goal, and that's the village to look great and to you know, keep moving forward with the amount of value that's here. So
Exactly. Yep.
great.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. Good information. Happy New Year to you. I think we're all looking forward to 2021.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brian.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And we'll be right back after this.